Hey, what's going on guys? Tom here, and in this video, I'm going to show you how I shoot product photos in my home photo studio. I'm going to demystify the process. I'm going to show you everything from beginning to end. We're going to discuss lighting, camera, lens, settings, composition, and we're going to even jump into Capture One and shooting tethered. So let's get right into it. Okay, let's see what we got here. So I wanted to let you guys know that I'm exposed for the surface, so it's not crazy bright. And since that makes it super dark in here, I've got a fill light to try and help lighten everything up so you can see a little better. But this is the Aperture 600D. You absolutely do not need a light this bright. You can use a 60 or a 120. You can even use strobes. I am using this super bright light because more light is always better in 90% of the cases, in my opinion. But I really like continuous lighting because I can see in real time what's happening with my shadows and all the highlights and everything. It just gives me a better sense of what's going on, especially if I'm by myself, styling by myself. There's no client. I can see exactly what I want to do. Certain products, I prefer strobe, but in this case, I prefer continuous light. This light is super bright. I got it because when I was doing commercial work, it was very easy to flip between video and stills, because for video you need much brighter light, especially when you're doing slow-mo stuff. So this light was really great for that. So right now I only have a reflector and barn doors on it. I don't like using a softbox straight on the light because I feel like it's super limiting. I would rather use a panel like this. This is a Matthews 3-sided frame. This is 2 feet by 3 feet, I think, and it's just 250 diffusion on it. You just get a 4-foot roll by however long it is, and you just cut it. It's not the most fun thing to do, which is why this piece has been on here for a long time, because I'm being lazy. But if you're not shooting super reflective stuff, it doesn't matter if it's like a little beat up. But this is amazing because you're able to shape the light in a different way than a softbox, because the light and the diffusion is completely separated from each other. So I'll get into it in another video, but you can make gradations, you can do way more stuff, you have way more flexibility. But in this instance, I have this here as the window, so to speak, and then this light as far away from set as possible to mimic the sun in a way in terms of fall off with light. So the further the light is from the subject, the more consistent the brightness is through the frame. So if this was right up against it, the fall off would be super fast and the top of the frame would be bright and then the bottom would be dark. The further the light is, the more even the lighting is going to be across the frame. So you have that nice consistent brightness, which is what I'm looking for in this shot, because it's a product shot and it's not supposed to be artistic or dramatic or anything like that. So I've turned off the fill light and I want to have only the main light on, so that that is the only light on this shot. I don't want to influence the shot with the fill light because it was a little bright. So I've got the barn doors on there. Don't look directly at the light like I just did. I got the barn doors on there, squeezed down so that the light is pretty much only going through this diffusion. I don't want it bouncing all over the room. I don't want it picking up the color of the walls, which has like a tiny bit of pink in it. So that's the only light that I have going right now, and that's what we want. So up to the camera, I've got the Canon R5, which I've had for a few years now. I'm really happy with it. It's got a great sensor. It's got a nice large megapixel count so I can crop in if I need to. I have an older EF 100mm macro, the L series. This lens is awesome. It's super sharp, and I have it on an RF adapter. This setup has worked really well for me, and it's one of my 2 lenses that I've mainly used for commercial product stuff, the other one being 24-70 from Canon. It's a great 2-lens setup. That's a video for another day, but this lens is super sharp. This camera's great. I'm really happy with this setup. I have it tethered into the computer using an Area 51 tether cable, which has been really great for me. Again, video for another day. And that's my main setup. So I am recording the LCD screen so you guys can see exactly what the camera's seeing. And I'm also recording the computer screen so you can see Capture One. So what I have here are a few different products. They're all the same, except they're all different because they have a unique finish. So they have a splatter finish on them. And I want to show a range so people can know what to expect when they buy one, because they're all slightly different, even though they look very similar. So I have a bunch on set, and I have one standing up here because they come in 2 different thicknesses. So I want to show that this is the thicker one. And right now I'm really happy with how they're laid out. it looks very similar to the shots that I've done previously, so it's gonna look super cohesive. I have the shutter set at 1/10. I have this light powered down to 40%. I usually have it at 100, but the camera will overheat because it gets pretty warm in here. So I have it powered down. I'm at 1/10 of a second at f11 because f11 is plenty of depth of field for me on this. I'm pulled back far enough that I get a nice depth of field from that, especially because I only need maybe 2 inches or so to be in focus. It's not that bad. And I'm at ISO 100 because I always want to keep the ISO as low as possible to get that nice crispy image. The higher you go with ISO, the more it degrades the image. So especially in this very controlled environment, it's very easy to keep everything at 100 ISO and just do a longer exposure, especially with a camera stand like this, which, by the way, you don't need this camera stand. You can just use a tripod with a boom arm or 2 C-stands, which I'll show you guys how to do one day. So right now I want to take a picture and just see what we've got. And I want to see how it compares to the previous one. So I'm just going to snap using the K button, which I've set up to capture. And you can see there's some pretty heavy shadows, and also our color balance needs to be sorted out. First thing I want to do is check what this is doing. So I got this fill card kind of at a 45-degree angle, and you might be wondering why I don't just put it on the surface here, because when I put it on the surface, the shadows on the bottom are much brighter than the shadows up here. So in order to get kind of like an even fill, I want to go something like this. I don't want to catch too much of that hard light. So I'll do something like this, and that looks good to me. So now this is a different color than this lighting. So I want to throw down my color checker, which, if you guys don't have one of these, this is, I think this brand bought X-Rite, Calibrate. It's amazing, and you need one in your life. Get this one, buy it once, and be done, and you never have to buy it again for a very long time, because the cheap paper ones get all messy and yucky. So I'm gonna take that picture there. I'm gonna put my fill card down, and I could tell this is a little bit pink. So I'm going to I'm gonna press W for white balance. I'm gonna click on my favorite square, which 99 out of 100 times is this one next to the yellow. And you can see, boom, it cleaned it up automatically. I'm gonna go press H so I don't accidentally white balance again. And I'm going to shoot one more shot here. And I'm gonna call that good for the sake of this video. So I just hit the set, so hopefully that's good. So now I'm going to crop, and I'm going to try and do something similar to this. So I'm going to use that as a compare variant and capture one here. And I'm going to hit the crop tool. I'm going to make sure I'm on square 1 by 1. And I'm going to bring up my grid lines here. So I've got it so that the beer bomb is about 2 squares in on both sides. So something like this. And that's pretty close. I'm across the room, so I'm not seeing it that great. So I might need to move in a bit, but this looks good. I just need to turn this guy a bit and bring this one down to fill in that space. And then maybe throw this here. And let's just do another one before I use the fill card, just to make sure everything looks cool. So there's kind of an empty space on the bottom. So I'm actually gonna grab one more and throw that guy in there. Gonna shoot another one here. Okay, so I'm happy with how that filled up some space. Actually, let me move this guy to let a little light in. Shoot another one. And basically you can noodle with this all day until you get it exactly how you want it. I'm going to keep it moving and shoot that. And I'm really happy with that actually. So let me mark that as a green and 5. And I'm gonna shoot one more so I can change the crop. I could do a clone of it, but I just want to shoot another shot and just keep it simple. So with this one, let's say I want to go 4x5, and then boom, you're ready for Instagram. So pretty straightforward there. Let's jump into the computer. I'm gonna sit in front of it instead of across the room, and I'll make some small tweaks and show you guys what I will do for post-processing. Okay, so I'm back on the computer. I wanna be able to see a little bit easier and show you guys what's going on. So I have Capture One open here. This is an old session, and this, just a little tidbit here, is how I name my sessions. I do the year, and then the brand, and then the project, and any other specificities. Oof, that was a big word for me. Any other specific stuff related to it, just to help kind of keep it more granular. So I like to start with the year because everything will be in order that way instead of alphabetical. It gets kind of messy. I like to, when I was doing commercial work, have it sorted by the date, because then I could look at my calendar and see what day that I shot the project on, and it helps keep kind of a catalog for me. Anywho, then I have the color at the end so that I can keep the file names neat and organized, and then the shot count is at the end of that. I like a 3-digit counter personally, but you might be 2, you might be 4. You can go crazy, it's your world. So I want to shoot into this old session because I want to be able to compare my shot to what I did last time. So if I hide the toolbar, I can see much easier, and I'm going to press C for the crop tool, make sure that I'm on the square setting, and I'm going to drag this in a bit so that there's only 2 sections on the outside of the product, so it looks similar to this. Then I want to make sure that I'm even from top to bottom. So I've got about 3 sections on top and 3 on the bottom, and I believe we're good to go. So I'm going to press H for the hand tool and to get rid of the crop tool. I'm going to bring my tools back up, and I'm going to get rid of the white one. I'm going to get rid of the grid lines. Grid lines are amazing. I have it set to Command G. You can do whatever makes you happy, but that is really good for me. And if you have it set to G, you have other guides that show up, and that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, so I'm going to click into this color tab icon on top, and we're going to enter the color editor. So we've already done our color adjustment, our main color adjustment with the color checker. So now I want to get rid of the slight hue that this background has because it's bumming me out and I don't want it. So what I'm going to do is go into the color editor, go into advanced. And by the way, the reason it has a hue is because it's white paint over black. So it's got a little bit of a blue tint to it. So I'm going to take this icon here, which brings up this little eyedropper. I'm going to click in a well-lit area that is hopefully not influenced by the purple reflection there. But what I want to do, you can see that the selection is almost pretty much white. So I want to click View Selected Color Range. So what that does is when you drag this out, it's going to select more of that range. I want to remove the product as much as possible, which is pretty much there. And the way to test that, in my experience here, is to bring that saturation slider up. So none of the products are being affected by this. So I'm going to double click to reset it. And then I'm going to take it down to, let's say, -75, because I don't want it to look like a color splash image. That would be very sad. So I'm going to remove this setting. And now you can see that it's purple. I'm going to hit H for the hand tool so I don't accidentally choose another color. So now you can see this nice purple is isolated a bit more. And when I click off and on, you can see the background changes from kind of a pinky, purpley, bluey color to a more neutre. So that's what makes me happy. I don't ever want to go -100 in most cases because it just looks a little too photoshopped, too fake. So that's pretty much all that I want to do here. I might throw a little 5 on for contrast. I might throw a little 10 on clarity, maybe a little 20 on structure, maybe take the sharpening up to 200, but that's generally what I do for my photos. I might saturate at 10 because iPhones tend to be a little bit more desaturated than a MacBook. So if we do the before and after up here, you can see it's not a huge change, but it is a big difference in a way because it goes from kind of like a flat and not color balanced image to a crispy, properly color calibrated image ready for prime time. So then what I want to do is I want to go to my exports tab, and I'm going to click on my JPEG Instagram optimized, which is not really that crazy. I pretty much have it set to 2000 by 2000, but I know that this is going to be for my website, so I'm going to set it to 1500, hit return, and then I'm just going to export it. And then all I do after that is I bring it back into Photoshop, and then I'll export it as save for web, put it on the website, and that's where it lives. Since photography is just one of my many jobs for this business, this everyday carry business, I try to keep it as streamlined as possible. So I want to try and get everything done in camera and efficiently as possible, because I don't want to be sitting there retouching stuff. I don't want to send it out for retouching. So this is exactly what you see is what you're going to get. I might take out some spots, some dust, etc., but that's pretty much it. So I'm going to export it 1500 by 1500, and then I'll open it in Photoshop and then save for web, so it's a smaller file size that will live on the website. I'll take the 4x5 version or the 916 version, and I'll export it larger because Instagram will destroy the quality. So I want to upload as high a res of a file as I can. So that's pretty much the two different directions that that file will go, but I won't edit it in Photoshop mostly. And this is the nice streamlined way to do it. So that is the entire process from beginning to end of how I do product photos in my home photo studio. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to dive into more detail about each step in the process. If that's something you're interested in seeing, please subscribe so that you don't miss out for future videos. And also drop me a comment and let me know if you have any questions about specific gear so that I can make content that is exactly what you're looking to see. So that way everybody wins. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate you guys dropping in, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.